This is the truth about Hole-in-the-Wall. This field might have one of the most unique layouts in Michigan. Massive elevation changes, a full valley running through the middle, even a creek or small river thing that's cutting across the field. But here's the question. Does that actually translate into a great experience, or is it all just untapped potential? Today, I'm breaking the field down across 10 categories, scoring it out of 100, and giving you the honest, no BS answer. This is part of my Michigan Airsoft Tour where I travel to every single field in Michigan and rank them from worst to best so that you know the best places to spend your time and hard-earned money. Today, we're going to Hole-in-the-Wall in Bangor, Michigan. Now, let's get into it. Jumping right into field layout and design, they're getting a 7 out of 10 here. This is easily one of the strongest aspects of the field. The geographic layout is kind of awesome. You've got steep hills, a deep valley, and even a creek that cuts through the middle of the field. Stuff that you just don't see at most or really any other Michigan Airsoft field. It creates some really unique gameplay moments, especially when you're fighting uphill or trying to control that high ground. But the structure layout doesn't quite match that level of quality. The buildings feel a little bit clustered together, with large empty gaps in between them. So instead of one cohesive battlefield, it almost feels like separate zones with open travel space in between. Some ways that they could easily improve this are adding in more structures in between those gaps, spreading out the existing clusters a little bit more, and creating more points of interest across the entire field in some of those more open areas. If they did that, they could easily jump up to an 8 or maybe even a 9 in this category. And that moves us right into point number 2, which is structure, cover, and quality. They're getting a 5 out of 10 on this one. And this is where things start to fall off a little bit. A lot of the structures look like they haven't been updated in years, and some of them are starting to deteriorate. There were some spots that honestly felt a little unsafe.
Seems like a liability.
That's something that you shouldn't really have to worry about in the middle of the game. The improvements that they could make here are pretty clear. They really need to repair and reinforce some of the existing structures. They need to remove or rebuild anything that's unsafe and falling apart. And it would really go a long way if they could add some new cover and new buildings throughout the field to kind of, just up the quality in general a little bit. Right now, the field has really great bones, but the structures just aren't keeping up. And we move right into the next point, which is gameplay experience. And they're getting a 5 out of 10 on this one, because honestly, this one was a little disappointing. The day that I went was supposed to be one of their big events, and it ended up being more of a rec play day due to some different circumstances. That's not important, but anyway, overall, it felt underwhelming. The games kind of lacked structure and direction, and it was mostly here's the rules, go play. There wasn't really great flow with the overall pacing, and the downtime in between games felt longer than it should have been. Even with the change of plans, this is something that they run every weekend, so I would have expected it to feel a little more organized and natural if it was going to be a rec play day. To improve in this area, I would say just more structured game modes, better transitions in between with less downtime, and stronger direction during the gameplay with more staff involvement out on the field. A little more organization would go a long way in this category. And this brings us straight into our next category, which is staff and ref quality. They get a 5 out of 10 on this one as well. There just wasn't enough staff present, kind of in general. On a low turnout day, it kind of worked, but The fact that they were expecting a large event that didn't end up happening, I think that it wouldn't have worked out very well if all those people actually did end up coming out that day. The rest felt kind of hands-off. There was minimal involvement, there was limited enforcement on the field, and didn't feel like a lot of effort to keep things flowing smoothly to just provide a good experience. Some improvements that they could put in place here are just increasing staff presence in general, especially on these days where they're expecting like a larger event, a lot of people to show up. Training refs that know what they're doing and can manage games properly, staying engaged during the gameplay out on the field to maintain the flow and the safety, and just making sure that the game is like going well and everything is working how it's supposed to. This alone could significantly improve the overall experience here at Hole-in-the-Wall. And talking about the experience, that's going to bring us straight into point number 5, which is value for the money. This is a big one. They get a 5 out of 10 on this one. To their credit, they did try to make things right when the event didn't turn out as planned, which I do appreciate a lot, since the event didn't happen the way that it was supposed to, the way that it was scheduled. They gave out free passes for future events, which is definitely the right move, so good job on that. But even judging this as a normal rec play day instead, like assuming that I paid the amount of money for a rec day, like 20 or 25 bucks, I still would have felt a little underwhelmed, to be honest. Between the downtime, the lack of organization, and the overall experience, it just didn't quite match what I would want out of like a normal open play price point. The biggest improvements that I would recommend here are faster game turnaround time, so just keep it moving, less downtime in between, more structured gameplay, so the rules are very clear, everyone understands, and the staff is explaining it out on the field, making sure that it's running correctly, and just a smoother overall experience. Just, I mean, I don't know, keeping in mind the experience in general and the way that looks to the players. If you fix those things, the value will go up naturally quite a bit. Moving into point number 6, this one is huge, not only for me, but for any like new players, or especially parents bringing their younger players for first time or newer unexperienced players. This one's going to be big. This is safety and rules, and they're getting a 5 out of 10 in this category. I saw several kind of concerning things. There was weak enforcement, if any, for barrel covers in the staging area. There was shooting going on in the staging area multiple times. There was iPro not being really enforced very well on the field multiple occasions. There was really loose chrono processes. Like when I went, I wasn't given like a tag for my gun or my HPA regulator or anything. So the chrono was definitely a little bit lacking. I think there's a lot of room for one bad apple to do some not very good stuff in that category for sure. So on top of that, something that not everyone might care about, but I feel like it's pretty relevant. It's relevant to me. So like in the staging area, there was a lot of smoking going on, both cigarettes and otherwise, which like, I don't care what you do in your own life, but it creates an environment that's not necessarily welcoming for new players, younger players, or like families that are bringing their kids or anything like that. Some improvements that I would recommend in this area are just getting really strict on those safety rules, making sure that all the staff on site is like very understanding of all the rules and willing to do what needs to be done to keep them in place. Getting up some clear signage for all of the field rules and the chrono rules, and just marking things out in general of where these things are supposed to be taking place and where goggles need to be worn and iPro needs to be worn and doesn't need to be. Dedicated separate smoking areas would probably go a long way to just separate that out, which would, I don't know, just make a more welcoming environment in the staging area for a lot of people, and just more active staff monitoring in general. Safety should always be locked in, and this is an area that definitely needs some attention. So going into the next point, number 7 is community and sportsmanship. They're getting a 6 out of 10 on this one. And I had a hard time kind of deciding on the score for this one because it was a little mixed. On the positive side, there were a lot of friendly players. I had no like major confrontations, or I didn't see any, like no one was trying to fight each other or anything like that. There were some really solid, fun opponents that had great sportsmanship that I really enjoyed playing with and playing against. But throughout the day, there were also some issues. There were some consistent complaints about hit calling. I saw some of that myself. It happens everywhere, but it felt pretty noticeable throughout the entire day there. Some improvements that could be made in this area are just more active ref presence, especially during the game. Getting a couple refs out there that know what they're doing and are trained up and just keeping an eye on stuff. Making players feel comfortable to report issues. If the staff is kind of disengaged, people might feel like, if I go, maybe they won't care or something. I don't know. But, if players feel comfortable with the staff, then they're going to be more likely to talk to them when an issue comes up instead of just going and telling their friends and not saying anything to the staff to help make it better. And just stay on top of problem players quickly. If you do get a report, keep an eye on them and take everyone seriously to determine if it's an actual issue or not. Because it only takes a couple of bad experiences or like one bad apple on a day to turn a new player away forever. And obviously, we don't want to see that happen at any field. On to point number 8, amenities and facilities. This one is going to be a 5 out of 10. It's pretty minimal overall. That's the main reason they're getting a 5 here. There's limited staging space, kind of. There's like a decent amount of staging area, but if all the people that showed up that were supposed to for this big event, I feel like it would have gotten tight pretty quick. There's a small selection of gear and supplies, like in their shop area. So there just wasn't much available in general. Like if people needed some of the, essentials like BBs, batteries, maybe someone just wants to buy another gun, like it would be nice to see some inventory there available to resupply players throughout the day. It would be nice to see like more inventory there to keep players supplied and possibly bring in some more money for the field. It's your business if you want to sell things or not, I don't know, but if you had like some guns available, you might sell some. But I think that the basics like food and drinks and BBs and batteries are just some of the things that you want to have always on hand and a decent selection of to keep people engaged throughout the day and from running out and having to just go home. There are some pretty easy improvements here in general. Just expand the shop offerings with some of the essentials a little bit. Add some food and drink options just to keep people hydrated and happy throughout the day. And maybe look at reorganizing or improving the staging area a little bit if you're going to have a lot of these big events in the future, just so the layout and the capacity is going to make sense. They're small changes, but they can make a big difference to a player's experience. Getting into point number 9, one that's important to me, media friendliness. They get a 10 out of 10 here. This is one where the field is going to shine for sure. For content creators like me or someone that just wants to film some good video to show their friends or look at later at home, this place is great. They have a lot of natural light, which is perfect for filming. The terrain variety keeps things like interesting visually. The hills, the valleys, the water crossing, it's all there. If you want some cool shots, rushing up a hill or shooting a long range down a hill or jumping over the river, then, you're going to get some cool shots here, or at least there's potential for it, right? So another thing, there's no copyrighted music blasting in the staging area or on the field, which is super important. Makes our life a lot easier if you're putting this on YouTube. Trust me, it's a real pain in the butt to deal with copyright issues. So you can avoid it. That's a big plus in this category. This one area that they're definitely crushing it. So good work on that one. And on to, last but not least, replay value and X factor. They're getting a 7 out of 10 on this one. The replay value is a little held back right now because of some of the other points that we've already gone over, but the X factor is really strong, which is keeping them at that 7 instead of dropping down a little bit more because of some of the other issues. So in general, there's, the terrain is a huge X factor. Fighting uphill or fighting downhill makes some really fun gameplay. Some long range shots from the elevated position can be really fun. And then that, like, something I love, that underdog mentality when you're like down in the valley, fighting your way up the hill for, a position that's heavily reinforced. Like, it's fun. It brings out the competitive, like, nature in a lot of players, and it's good. So, like, overall, it just creates a lot of moments, or the potential for moments that are genuinely fun and memorable for a lot of people. This is the big takeaway. The field has serious potential. If they improve the weaker areas while keeping what makes this place unique, like the awesome terrain, they could easily move up in the rankings when I come back to do the next round of review videos. So at the end of the day, this is going to land Hole-in-the-Wall with a 60 out of 100. This is one of those fields where the foundation is definitely there. The land, the layout, the unique geography, it's all there. And they've been around for a long time, so they've got good bones. Now it just comes down to execution. And that's the goal of these reviews in the end. Not to tear any field down ever. That's never my intention, but to give honest, constructive feedback that fields can use to improve and give players better experiences, and the entire community is going to grow because of that. I'm definitely going to go back to Hole-in-the-Wall to see if anything's changed in the future when I go do my next round of reviews. And if you're following the Michigan Airsoft Tour, you're not going to want to miss the rest of it and how this whole thing comes together and the final scores. So in conclusion, thank you so much for watching like always. There's a lot more to go on this Michigan Airsoft Tour, a lot more fields to get through, and a really cool epic video that's going to rank them all to give you all the best no BS info in the end. And if you're following along, or you just found this review for the first time in the series and you want to see the rest or not miss the next one, then please don't forget to subscribe and like the video. It helps a lot, and I'm excited to share the conclusion to all of this with you. So again, thanks so much, and I can't wait to see you in the next one.